so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads. Welcome to a very special episode dedicated to none other than you, the pea heads themselves. I am your pea head enthusiast and hostess for the day, Alexa Hauser. I have been blessed to have the experience of helping out with Positive Head's social media for the better part of a year. And through my digital interactions, I began to realize, as did Brandon, that we have some incredible beings listening to this show who are taking the information that Brandon puts out through the podcast and using it to transform their lives and create wonderful things. You listeners are all a huge, huge part of the life force that propels this show forward through time and space, and we think it's time to bring forth some of you beautiful reflections and delve a little deeper into this collection of energy that is the Positive Head community. So as we shine the spotlight on our listeners, what we'll have them do is share their stories of how they attracted Positive Head into their life, the transformation it's facilitated for them, and what they're focused on creating now that they're in a more positive headspace. Also, this episode of the Positive Head podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Hello, all you positive heads. On today's Pea Head Posse episode, we have someone who's been on this segment before, I don't know how many episodes ago, but we have none other than Corey Pugliese, which he also you might also know him as Corey Puglia, because that's what he goes by on Facebook. So if you're, active in the Facebook group, that's how you might know him. But he was on a Pea Posse episode several episodes ago and brought him back because he had an epic experience at Burning Man and downloaded so many things and wanted to have an opportunity to share with you all. So hi, Corey. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me again. This is an honor to be on once more to really chat about my experiences and our experiences because we were both there.
Yeah.
So here I am and just super happy to do this.
So am I. Yeah, it was really awesome because one day when I was at Burning Man, I walked out of my tent and there you were standing there. And it was awesome because we haven't met in person before, but I was so honored that you took time to come and stop by the camp a couple of times because I wasn't there in the first couple of times, and we finally connected in real life. So it was amazing and amazing to connect with you. And now I've seen you 2 times in real life.
Yes.
You came to my tapping circle a few days ago, which was so lovely. So thank you for that. And why don't we just get into it? Let's talk Burning Man because I'm still going through withdrawals. I don't know about you, but
I've been thinking about it every single day since. Every little thing that has happened to me, and things will come up I remember that, and then I'll forget about it. Then it's just little tiny intricacies and lessons that just popped up, and it was so amazing.
Well, so let's go about it this way because. So it was Corey's first. It was your first year at Burning Man.
Yeah,
correct. Okay,
year.
So it was your first year. It was
first festival too. In for anything related to. I've never been to any big festivals actually, or conscious or transformational. This is my first time, and it's really for me really fascinating to see how you take these lessons from positive head and spirituality. And sure, you try to apply them to real life, but when you're in an environment with everybody else has the same ideals, the game is just completely changed.
That I completely agree. How did you experience that in your own way? How did you see that manifest at Burning Man?
Well, pretty much in every single way possible. Is really it's hard for me to find like a place to begin here, just because like every day was some kind of like just a wink from the universe. Some kind of synchronicity was there, just hiding away, and like.
Well, let me.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you one thing before. Let's start like this, because here's what I'm imagining: that people listening, there's some people who know exactly what we're talking about because they've been, and then there's a ton of people in the group that I see all the time say it's on my bucket list. I'm going to go eventually, right? Something that they're looking to manifest. So you actually manifested this, like a ticket basically dropped on your lap, correct?
Yeah, actually, it was really funny. It was something where about a year ago, like around the time Burning Man was happening in 2017. I think it was Nixie Marie posted just a bunch of pictures, and I was looking at them and I'm like, that looks awesome. And I think I like commented saying, oh man, I wish I could go, maybe next year. And I forget who it was who said, no, don't say maybe, say you will. And I kind of was like, okay, sure, why not? Let's play around with this. So I wrote, I will go next year. And then come April, I'm just getting breakfast with my friend and his roommate, who I kind of knew. And he's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to Burning Man this year. And I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. I want to go. And he's like, well, I have an extra ticket. You want to go?
Oh, my God.
And I was like, well, I can't say no now.
Yeah, the universe delivered.
It really did. And honestly, for a good reason, too.
Well, yeah, what was the reason?
Well, so before going in, I definitely had this strong intentions, or at least like something that I wanted to get out of it, because to me, Burning Man was really about, and this was like before I even like had any idea, because you think you know what it's like until you get there and you're like, whoa, this is completely different. But it's like the same, but it's like weird how expectations work. But yeah, it's like I came in with the intention of being a more free, open person and more expressive in who I am, and kind of take myself into a state where I don't have to really worry about my own inhibitions and open up a lot more. And in a way, that's exactly what I got.
Yeah, that is the best thing about Burning Man in my perspective. Like, to truly realize that you will not be judged, you will not be excluded, you will not be... that whole element of society that we truly take into consideration way too much, I think is not even a factor there. It's non-existent. And in fact, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, for a lot of people who like don't know about the Burning Man, like 10 principles, that's really the foundation of what allows for this kind of like container of like love and acceptance is, just I think it's like radical self-inclusion, gifting. There's a few other, I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. Radical self-expression.
Participation.
Yeah.
No trace. Leave no trace.
That's a big one. Just like being accountable for yourself and also putting a lot of trust into other people. And it allows for just better human connection, which was a huge lesson for me in human connection, because we think we know how connection really works until we really experience it firsthand, especially in today's society where technology really takes over our consciousness so often. I think we were talking about this
technology,
like phone, because out there's like no cell service, so you're kind of forced to kind of talk. And when you come back to reality, it's a little tough to, integrate what you had there to other people who are just, back in default reality in the real world.
Yeah. The no cell thing, the no cell phone thing is, I wish that we could have I wish there was a way to like do some sort of experiment where for like a week in real life, no one could have phones, because I think what we would see is like all of our hearts open, all of us remember more of who we are. I mean, truly, that's what it feels like to me. Without my phone, I start to remember who I really am, because instead of get anytime I'm annoyed or anytime I'm bored or anytime whatever, I basically just dive into my phone in real life, right? Like it's just an excuse to kind of escape what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's no escape. And that's the best part, because suddenly you're like, okay, what can I create? Who can I talk to? Like, how can I connect? Like, that's what you want to do. And you start to realize, oh, this is who I am. I want to be with people. I want to connect with people. I want to have fun. I want to play. Like, that's what I want to do.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things is in life, we often will go on our phone or try and just use some form of escape to get away from, especially like people we sometimes don't think are worthy of our attention, or maybe we think we're not worthy of their attention. So we just kind of hide away, we run away. And in this container, in this space, we're kind of allowed the experiment to try and do this. And that's one of the big things. So you actually told me to go to this workshop. It was a course on human connection, and it was Jessica, right?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get her on this segment and my other podcast, and to talk about this workshop, because just to preview what Corey's going to talk about, I have heard so many things about this workshop, and was introduced to Jessica Coleman, who leads the workshop, and it's called The Magic of Human Connection, and it's all about connecting as humans. So anyway, Corey went to that. Yes, no,
I absolutely, I'm so happy you're going to have her, because she's incredible. She really created such an amazing space for random strangers in a room to become like so connected in such an insane way. I was blown away. I had never felt anything like that before, which really was surprising. And I remember walking out just feeling so light and happy and full for like, I wouldn't say the first time in my life, but in a long time. I felt so good afterwards. It was really like what she allowed was, you start off walking around the room and there's a lot of random strangers there, and she's kind of talking you through it, like, hey, just look at everybody, look them in their eyes, and talk, like, just in your mind, like, send them wishes and good intentions, and no matter who they were, tall, short, girl, guy, doesn't matter. Just like acknowledge their existence and thank them for being. And like at first, you're walking around and you have those judgments. You don't realize you have them. They're just like this subconscious thing. But as you start to do it, it becomes less and less awkward, because the judgments start to dissipate and the love just starts to take over. And it really, really was incredible to and then you would stop and you would hold hands with someone and just stare at them in the eyes and like send them wishes. And then you would like whisper in each other's ears, like a good wish, a good intention. And every time the person almost knew exactly like what you needed to hear. It was incredible.
My heart is like enlarging as you're talking about this, because I slept through that workshop. I was up very late the night before and I'm still a little upset about it. But what you're describing is something that I noticed as well this year at Burning Man. I noticed that no matter who was walking by me or riding by me or interacting with me or around me, it was like my first thought of them was actually, especially halfway through the week and, towards the end, it was an automatic, like, why is this person awesome? Like, there was no separation mentality. It was immediately like, there's somebody, let me tell you why they're awesome in my head. Oh, I like this about them. They seem cool. They seem open. Their energy seems good. I like their hat. I like that. Like, it's an abundance of amazing thoughts about whoever I was looking at was coming through. And then I realized when I'm normal in default reality and I'm walking down the street, I make an effort, and I think we all do make an effort to try to think positively and try to think positively about people. But my default reaction is kind of like, oh, what's that person wearing? Or like, oh, that's interesting. Or it's kind of like a separation type of mentality of like, why should I not talk to this person? Right? Yeah. Like, why are they different from me? And I think the best thing about Burning Man is it really allows you to see that like we're all just like this energy of joy, like expressing itself. And when you're in that container, it's almost like the container itself, like creates this mentality of like, we're all the same, but so unique and it's amazing. And, you know, so
it's so true. It's so true. It really is incredible. Cause like there are people there that you would, you know, in default reality, you would probably never talk to. You just would avoid or be like, this person's not, you know, anything, or why is this important? But I remember I had a beautiful experience where I was out in the deep playa, just, you know, having a time watching. I think the sun was about to set. I was really just kind of soaking it all in. And I looked over to my left and there was this girl that was just kind of like standing there. And I was like, I was thinking in my head, like, who is it? I don't really know. And then I thought, wait a minute, this person is probably really amazing. She's out here hanging out in deep playa on a blanket, just kind of like doing a prayer. I'm just feeling like drawn to her energy. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go say hi to her. And I like rode over, said hi to her. Then we started having a good conversation about like the land, the playa, and how it's kind of some people consider it to be a grandmother energy because it's like an ancient lake bed, and how a lot of people go there to seek the kind of real spiritual aspect of it. And we had this whole conversation, and then like another guy like rolled up, and he starts talking to us, and we're talking about like life and like figuring out your passion, and no other place in the world would I ever expect for that to happen. All because I just kind of decided to run on this little, you know, feeling that I should make a connection right now. And there it was. It's so incredible.
What you're illustrating, I think, is this mentality of like, instead of why not, like why you shouldn't do things. It's like, it's like reasons why you it's like an environment where it's like, yes, let's try that. Like, yeah, it's like an environment of possibilities instead of like fear, instead of, because what you're describing is like you saw this girl there and you felt yourself be interested and attracted, attracted to her energy. But in default world, right, like we kind of rationalize away from, well, I'm busy, and well, she probably doesn't want to be bothered, and well, I have things to do, and like that would probably be weird anyway. Like these are the things we say to ourselves. Where at Burning Man, or just in this container that we're talking about, it's like your mentality shifts about it because you realize, wait, everyone is here to listen to ourselves and to experiment and to just try things, right? And Absolutely. So it's like we've given by going to this event, everyone that goes has kind of given ourselves permission to listen to ourselves and try things, and know that it's just a huge playground, you know? And I think that's so cool. And just also what you're illustrating, I think, is the way that law of attraction works, right? In such a clear way. It's like this girl's sitting there thinking about something, praying, like putting out a very special, like a very specific signal and frequency. You tune into that, and you're like, I'm attracted to here. So then you go over there, and then you guys start having this conversation that you both probably wanted to have. And then all of a sudden another guy comes out of nowhere and comes and has a third comment. He adds to the conversation. It's like, this is how law of attraction works. It's just so hard to see in real life. You know, it's so hard to see with all the distractions, right?
You know what? But that's what gets me so excited is it happened. It actually, like, I've been like dabbling, you know, with spirituality and all this kind of stuff, you know, on and off for how long I've been listening to podcasts, like 2 years now. And, you know, some days you're like, you know, I don't know. I've tried to manifest, but it's just not coming, or like in the real world. And then you go there, at least for me, going there, it works. And it's just like so amazing that it's actually happening. It's not just, you know, like that's reality for a short amount of time. Then the gift you're given is now you can take that and bring it into reality. It may not be perfect as it had seemed there, but now you're able to like draw from that energy, from that reality, and really kind of apply it to your day-to-day life, which is what I love about it.
Totally. It's like the biggest inspiration ever. Like it's it's like a constant muse, right? Like looking back at Burning Man being like, ooh, but that exists and that's real. And I was a part of it and I am a part of it. And I know that that energy exists, like you're saying. So you can constantly get like reinvigorated by, like you're saying, connecting to that energy, remembering that energy. What else did you, because I'll tell you, like, from my perspective, Burning Man like lit you up, because I've known you since we first chatted. I don't know, it was several months. It was right after I got back from my EFT retreat. So it was March, which was when I was going through like a lot. And we talked then, and you were just kind of starting at that time to like, you know, like you had emailed me and said, I don't know, I'm feeling like I should just reach out and I guess I should share too, type of thing. Yeah. And then after that, you know, I remember you were kind of going through these like growing pains a bit of like, you know, wanting so bad to expand and kind of like being in that state where you're noticing it's not happening fast enough type of thing, right? Yeah, yeah. And now, and you know, and then things progressed, and I know other things happened, but then seemed like you went to Burning Man, and then all of a sudden it was like, here's Corey, like he's out, like, here you go, you know. So, I know, right? Yeah. So what happened to you there that you didn't expect? Did anything happen that you didn't expect or that was a surprise for you? So yeah, one of the big like lessons I generally took away was Burning Man wasn't perfect. I had like maybe 2 or 3 like crummy days. This had some, you know, good points, and there were definitely highs other days where I was like, you know, over the moon. But it really, really made me realize, like looking back on it, that those days that were, you know, not so good, or maybe there was a dust storm and I couldn't do something that I wanted to do, or I went to a really bad workshop, or, you know, I was alone and like nobody was around with me. It made me realize that the great days were because I acted upon those like, you know, not, I wouldn't say negative, but those days where I didn't feel so good. I worked towards something that I actually wanted, rather than just sat in my own, you know, misery and was like, oh, it doesn't work. I was able to really take control, which felt amazing, especially like, you know, the next day after a not so great day, I would really make sure that I was with people. I would really make sure that I was making the most of the day, that I was taking advantage of things, that I was saying yes. That was a big thing, was just kind of like going with it and not worrying and being patient and really just listening rather than like thinking that I need to do it. And that was such a great lesson in and of itself. Even the first day, actually, I think it was waiting in line to get in. Took us 6 hours of just waiting in a car in the you know, at the gate where it's just dust storm everywhere. And I remember like going so mad out of my mind because it was like, come on, just let us in already. And I keep telling everybody, you had to go through hell to get to heaven. You had to experience that pain so that once you got to that, you know, wonderful state, it just felt so good. Oh my gosh. Well, did you come in on the second day when they were holding people up because of the dust storms? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you got to come the night of and like get there at the perfect time, because we waited for like 3 hours this year, but like, but yeah, like we weren't in any dust storms or anything. Or I mean, I guess there could have been dust storms the night before, but I don't know. Both years we tried, but you know what? Everything in divine timing. Oh, totally. And like you're saying, it's a part of your lesson. Like it's part of like what you took. You got that understanding. Like you're saying, like you got to go. You know, you got to be patient. You got to go through. Sometimes you got to go through a dust storm to get to where you want to go. And when you get there, it's even better. You know, it's so. You're in the clear and it just feels beautiful. But what I really love that you said is saying yes, about learning to say yes, because man, I went through similar things. I had the most amazing time of my life this year, but there was like 2 days where we had stayed up really, we like went to like sunrise sets, like to see some DJs play, and we didn't go, you know, we didn't come home until like 8 a.m. And then, you know, then you're wired. It's hard to sleep. It's hot. And but I'm having I've been basically partying all night, right? And so then the next day I'm kind of like, oh, like I can't do anything right now. I'm so tired. I just need to lay down, right? Mm-hmm. And so that kind of turned. I had like 2 days or like a day and a half where it was basically like that, and those days felt awful because at first it was like, hey, I need to relax, and suddenly it was like, oh my God, I'm in heaven on earth and I'm laying here outside, not experiencing it, not getting up and saying yes to things, and it fueled my fire for the next day to be epic, to be like, yes, like I'm gonna get up as early as I can and do everything I want to do, and like you're saying, the next day were the best days because I was so fired up to say yes to things and so sure that I wanted to experience things, and I just wanted to let the Burning Man take me and show me different things, and I think that's kind of the coolest part about Burning Man too. And I feel like you really experience this a lot, just letting yourself kind of be like a feather in the wind, right? Just letting yourself kind of be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's the best part, but I'm just going to keep saying yes and just seeing where I get pulled, And it feels like almost like Halloween or something, right? Where you go around to everyone's house, right? It's kind of, that's what everyone's camps are like, right? Everyone kind of has their own, they're giving out their own Halloween candy, but some people have haunted houses and some people have, they're scaring you, and some people are really sweet and give you extra candy or something. So it's kind of like that with the camps. It's like, you never know what you're going to find or who's going to be there, but it kind of feels like you just go from one camp to another or one thing to another, and you never know what's going to happen. And it kind of gets more exciting and more fun. And
absolutely. Yeah. I remember it was one day I was just riding out, and I was having a kind of iffy time after I think it was during one of my down days, and I rode out to just an art installation, and it was this, and it really spoke to me. It was a house that was inside of a giant cage. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
And the cage was on the top broken, and then when you go inside of the house, there's another cage with a house in it. And then when you look inside, there's another cage with a house in it. It goes on, and it keeps going inwards. And I was just like, this really, really speaks to me, this piece. A lot of, again, my intention going in was freedom and breaking away from old programming, which another thing is the theme this year was robots, which was absolutely perfect. It's just kind of breaking away from your programming and realizing that you're the artificial intelligence. You're the one that has the ability to break free. And again, I'm just seeing this, and I saw this random person walks in, and I just go, hey, what does this mean to you? And she starts going off on the same stuff that I was thinking in my head. And after that, again, we had a 3-hour conversation until midnight about how we felt in our life and philosophy and this and that. And it was just something you never expect. And just because you say yes, or you make an effort to do something and you just go with it, it's beautiful.
Yeah. You know what's coming up? That's amazing. And you know what's coming up for me as you're talking about that? Something that's been coming up for me recently in default reality here, but it's you're helping me understand that it's so amazing to not give yourself boundaries. And what I mean by that is in normal life, right? We all kind of have set times for things, and we're kind of like, okay, I can do this. I can come hang out, but only for a couple hours, because then, got to go get dinner, or I got to make dinner with my partner, or I got to, my parent, whatever it is. We kind of have these structures built so that we're never away for too long. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
whether
absolutely.
It's work or whatever it is, it's kind of or maybe we like to get in bed at a very certain time. So these are all boundaries, and I'm not saying boundaries aren't healthy. They are. I think there's such a thing as healthy boundaries.
Oh yeah.
But I think what's so beautiful about Burning Man is that when you go there, there are no boundaries. There are no there's no I got to get back because it's not there is none of that, because you're essentially in container where there is no time. There is time, but there is no time as in like you can have a 3-hour conversation because that's part of the experience. And I think it shows you what can happen when we take these boundaries away, like these kind of mental constructs of like, well, I got to do this at this time or I got to be home for this. It's like it really breaks up the natural flow of things. And I just think it's kind of beautiful, to hear about you just hitting it off with someone and then having a 3-hour conversation until it gets dark out because that's why you're there. Like you're there to have those conversations. You're there to see how things unfold. You're not there so you can like, sometimes I feel like I want to go out and I go out and then suddenly I'm like, oh, well, it's getting kind of late. It's kind of time to go home. Like it's almost like home is calling me back. But it's like, no, that's just my, idea of like when it's right to go home. And like, I put in my social time today so I can go home now type of thing. And it's like, I just think it's beautiful to kind of be in a space where you actually don't have those boundaries, you don't have those responsibilities and see what happens. And what happens is like what you're talking about here. It's like true, deep, like conversation and connection and reflection of yourself and another.
Yeah, and I think that in default reality, especially, like certainly, of course, boundaries are good. And I think it really it requires a balance. I just think that, especially in today's, in 2018, we put up too many boundaries, I think, in 2018, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think that like places like Burning Man, events where you can kind of really practice opening up more, let you come back to real, default reality and take that down and kind of break those walls a little bit more. Like I feel like now everything around me, my home, my town that I'm in, like everything just looks different. It's so interesting. Like nothing feels the same anymore. Everything feels like it's freer. It's more loose. And not to say that it's like, this crazy freeness and I can just go anywhere and do anything. But I feel like for once I can take control of what it is and really just go with the flow with it. It's kind of a paradox, but yeah, it's like I have control, but I don't have control.
And how does that compare to what you were feeling before Burning Man? Like before Burning Man, how did you see your town? And
a lot of it was just kind of for me, like stuck in program, like doing the same thing over and over. This cycle of like being trapped and I always knew that there would be a time when I would, find what I want to do, find the passion and go with it, which is pretty much like what I'm doing now. But Burning Man really kind of was this place where I can test my abilities before I really go make any kind of like big decisions, which now I feel like I'm ready.
Totally. I feel like you are too.
But like this, like I really want to like say like this isn't all about me. I think it's like a lesson for just everybody in general that I wanted to share, which is why I wanted to come on this podcast, was just to let other people who are feeling the same way, where if they feel like stuck, that there is hope. There is a way to open up and be more expressive, be more of yourself and follow your highest passion.
And how can people do that if they can't get to Burning Man?
I think a lot of it comes down to just being yourself and opening up as much as possible. I mean, it was great for me, this experience, to really kind of play around with it. And a lot of the workshops there were really fantastic. I don't know if there maybe is other festivals in the area where you could take workshops, or you can maybe look up workshops online. Obviously, Positive Head is a great starting point for a lot of this. But just follow your path and don't worry too much about making sure that you're on time or that you're perfect or that everything is where it needs to be, because it is where it needs to be. And even though even though you may have a bad day or a down day like I did at Burning Man, those days do lead towards the better ones, Absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah. Yeah. And
And another lesson to take away from this is if you want to go to Burning Man, type it out, write it out,
manifest
and forget
it
about it.
Manifest it.
Yep, absolutely.
That was a beautiful thing too. I took a Sophia EFT class, which was all about manifestation, and it's something that you always hear and you always want to do, and then like little synchronicities pop up. But with that class, it really kind of brought it to the forefront of my consciousness that manifestation is completely real. It's an absolute thing that it's a God-given right that we are given a gift to be able to attract the things we want in our life. It's just us that kind of holds ourselves back by setting up boundaries and things that maybe we think we don't deserve or aren't ready for. It just requires us to accept the fact that we are ready and we can do anything. It's beautiful.
It is. It's amazing. And yeah, I think speaking to manifestation, it's kind of like, we know things that we want, but we also have, just if you really want something, just decide that you really want it. I've spoken about this before, but it's really all it takes is making the decision and getting out of the way. And if you can just make that decision, like Corey clearly made the decision. He's like, I want to go to Burning Man. And then he just got it out of the way and it happened and it delivered him something that, that's what I love. Like I love realizing, for example, Burning Man this year for me was a huge manifestation of all of like the growth that I've been doing and all of the energy that I've been putting into my life. I literally felt like it all just like exploded at Burning Man. And I was like, wow, okay. Like I just leveled up so much from last year. Awesome. Yeah. Well, because especially in when you feel the most free, right? That's when you're going to see, I think, the most, things manifest. You're going to see a lot of things pop into your reality and you're going to, so it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I just, I really enjoyed this year because I really put a lot of intention into coming as well. And I'm so happy you enjoyed this year. You like looked like you were in your natural habitat and you just looked so happy. And
yes, thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else before we go? Anything else you feel really called to share?
Like I think I was telling you before we started, that you could literally write podcast episodes just on like what just happened to me alone. Yeah. Never mind like everybody else. Yeah. But like one of the things I would say, or at least a few of the things, is just remember that everybody really is a reflection of you, and they're all there to show you who you are and what you can become, and what you need to work through. And it's really just all about the connection with other people and letting, I guess, putting a lot of faith into others and taking the initiative to really connect in this world. Because I think that's something we need to certainly do a lot more.
Oh, I think that's a great point. It's kind of like we've been taught to fear each other so much kind of in society, or, even just like, hey, like don't leave your purse there, or hey, like make sure that door is locked type of thing. And it's kind of like in an environment like this, it's like the foundation is trust. I mean, yeah, we do lock up our bikes and we do those things, but it's kind of like, I have this mentality. I'm like, I don't, if someone takes my stuff here, like, I don't know. Like I would much rather just trust, because that's kind of what this is all about. And so, well, I don't really know where I was going with that, but just, it's nice to be able to trust. It's nice to know that this is like who we really are. It's like, we can trust each other because we are each other. And that's,
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, I obviously, skepticism in real world, default world, is good in healthy doses.
Yeah.
But, I think that being a little bit more trusting is always great.
Because it opens the doors.
It does. It opens the doors and allows for you to ascend to a higher level of yourself and connection with others.
What was like your most memorable experience from this year, from this burn?
Let's see. There's so many. I would say manifesting an awesome dance partner till 10 a.m. At the Mayan Warrior, just this giant art car that parties all night. And I'd never done that before, and it was truly an amazing experience.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of dance partner was this?
She was awesome. We literally, I don't know, I met at 1 a.m. and just started it was one of those tests in reflection. I was seeing whether or not, if I danced a certain way, if anybody else would copy me. And this one girl started to copy me exactly my moves. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And then we literally just hit it off. And from then we were going from the Mind Warrior, went to the Robot Heart, the other giant art car that plays music. And we were up until 10 a.m. It was crazy.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was great. It was so fantastic.
I'm imagining you doing funny dance moves and this girl just kind of being like, oh yeah, this is my guy right here.
Just imagine awesome. Wavy hands. That's all you need to know.
Wavy hands. Yeah, that's kind of what I was imagining.
Perfect.
Well, you'll have to show me that sometime.
Yes.
Anything else?
Phew. Yeah, pretty much just, if you can go. If not, take some lessons, give it a try, open your heart more. And I can't really think of too much else besides that, at least right now.
Yeah, I'd say just to piggyback on that before we go, one of the biggest things that I came out of this year from Burning Man was I was reinvigorated to learn as much as I possibly could. I think that's something that really awakens in you when you go to Burning Man, because there's just so much to learn about. There's so much to experience. Suddenly that little kid comes out in you where you're like, oh, I love learning. Learning is so fun.
Yes.
But when we think about learning, from the perspective of, going to school or going to college, it's more like work. It's not learning, because learning it is kind of experiential in my perspective.
It's like learning through play, pretty much.
Yes. It's exactly learning through play, getting your hands on things, experiencing things, not sitting down in a classroom. You're actually in there, getting in there and experiencing things. And I think, a way to kind of get yourself in alignment with Burning Man, or to get kind of the experience of Burning Man, is just start figuring out, just start looking up things that you're interested in, whatever it is, and just figure out a way to go experience that. Just kind of start absorbing more. And if you can do that, then first of all, you're going to get into alignment with the vibration of Burning Man, because that's what it is. It's just constant learning and evolving and play. And second of all, you're going to get closer to yourself. You're going to feel happier. You're going to feel more fulfilled, because you're keeping a promise to yourself that you probably made a really long time ago, that you wanted to do something, but you made excuses why you didn't. Right. And it's I think we've all just kind of been, we're so jaded when it comes to learning because of all the work it requires and the way that we've been taught to learn. Right. But it's when you go somewhere like this, you realize you love to learn and you love to grow, and that learning new skills is awesome, and even just learning how to connect with a human, it's awesome. And so just that would be my advice. Just kind of figure out what you want to do, no matter how weird or silly it is, and go do that, and you will feel better, and you will expand, and you will be one step closer to Burning Man.
Oh yeah. And if I could tell one quick little story before we go, it's a pretty funny story. Me and a few friends were out Deep Ply, and there's this kind of playground art piece where it's a house and things, and they had a tetherball, they had a piano, and a couple other games you could play around. And me and my friends are just playing with some funky twirly I guess it was art piece, and this 13-year-old kid just walks up to us, and he's like, what are you supposed to do here? And we just looked at him and we were like, you play. And he's just like, oh, okay. And he walked away. It was
That's
great.
Hilarious on a number of levels. Because that's so funny. Because, if you don't know, there are a lot of kids at Burning Man, and I saw way more kids this year than I saw last year. There are a lot of children there, and they can range from like 3 years old to, like the teens, 13, 14. And it's funny that you say that because I feel like you're an adult. You, Corey, are an adult, right? He's like trying to get back in touch with this like inner child, and you're like... And then this 13-year-old who is a child comes up and is like, what do we do? And you're like, you play. And it's so funny.
It was too perfect. It was too perfect.
Yeah. And clearly that kid needed to be at Burning Man and remember his years just a couple of years ago, maybe. Or just to get away from the screens. Who knows? But that's great. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, that's perfect. Well, Corey, this is awesome. Thank you for, wanting to come on and share your experience with people. I know there are a lot of people in this group and in our listener base who want to go to Burning Man. And I'm sure now they have a better idea of it and maybe a stronger desire. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I apologize to the Burning Man because now all their ticket sales are going to be sold out so fast.
Apologize to me because I'm not going to be able to get a ticket.
That's my bad. This is my bad.
We had to pay 2 times as much as for a ticket because it's sold out. Crazy. But no. I think everyone should know about this and everyone should want to go and
to share in it because every human I think has the right to experience like the same feelings that we felt.
Absolutely. I think it would benefit every human to go if they wanted to. So thank you so much. And hopefully I see you there next year and we see more positive heads next year. And maybe Brandon will start that birthday camp. Who knows? But awesome, Corey. Well, until next time, see you later.
Thank you again. See you.
That's it for this week's episode. If you're a listener with a story to share and are interested in being featured on a future episode of this special series, you can email me at alexa@positivehead.com. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it. Period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Otherwise, tune in next Friday for another P-Head Posse episode. And until then, as Brandon always says, journey well.